My 19 girlfriend, 18, told me she was on the pill but wasn't and is now pregnant. What can I do? Hi everyone. I have been waking up every night shaking and sweating. I love my girlfriend with all my heart, but things haven't really been going well recently. She tells me that I don't do enough or care enough when all I do is pour my heart into her. We have been together for the most of 5 years. During this time, she has broken up with me and gone off with other guys. On every occasion I was heartbroken and left feeling empty for months. After months of struggling in an on and off relationship with her, I finally had to cut things off following the advice of my friends and family. She had physically assaulted me a few times and I was constantly left feeling like a wreck. The emotional abuse was way too much for me to handle. I still feel like a shadow and don't know who I am anymore. I had therapy briefly but it didn't really help. I am unsure if this was just because I only tried CBT. I feel like I am not enough and am retaking my first year of uni because of the whole situation. Our relationship has always been quite sexually intense. I had always trusted that she was on the pill and I often used a condom to be safe as well. On this one occasion, however, she had persuaded me not to wear a condom, and as far as I was aware she had been taking the pill consistently for the past few months. Afterwards, we were talking and she mentioned how she thought we should just have a baby together. She went on to say she was taking a break of the pill for her period. This panicked me and I said she should maybe get a morning after pill just in case. She told me she had done the next day, but I later found out she hadn't. I really don't feel ready for this and have always told her I want to marry and then have kids after uni and when we have had years to enjoy with each other. The way the relationship had been going had deterred me even further too. I felt trapped. See trauma bonding. It felt like she was my life and it still does, especially now. A few months now after cutting contact she sent a letter saying that she was pregnant. I immediately went over to her house to talk and her family was all saying how they were going to help, so I quickly realized it was true. She told me how she was looking forward to having a baby with me and said that we both need to really try and work hard together for this. I am lost. I don't know what to do. It felt very strange when I went round to her family and they were all encouraging us. It felt like some weird spin-off of Get Out. She had told me her family think I am toxic and abusive. I have no idea what I am going to do. I had finally started to feel there was a way out. I could see the light and now I am condemned to this life. I cry multiple times every day and break down. I went to the local shop yesterday and passed out when I got into my car. God knows what would have happened if I was driving. Does anyone know what I can do? I am lost. Thanks. Too long did not read. Please help. She is definitely pregnant. Abusive relationship and I had finally thought I had escaped, but now this is driving me insane. I feel like I am losing my mind. How can I even be a good dad? Is there any way out of this? Any advice is much appreciated, thanks. Until you have a paternity test that confirms you're the father, you do absolutely nothing. Cut contact with her. Make it clear that you two will never get together again. If you have that paternity test, get a lawyer. Beg, borrow, or steal the funds necessary. Have the lawyer handle setting up child support, if you don't intend to be in the child's life. If you do, have the lawyer set up a shared custody agreement that minimizes contact between you and your ex. For one, get a paternity test. Do not sign anything before that. Bro, she's toxic as hell, back out. Get a lawyer, take a loan out if you need to. That's fucked. Sign nothing and accept no responsibility without a paternity test. You aren't obligated to take one without a court order, so I would wait for one. Do not offer any help, do not claim the child in any way, and do not sign the birth certificate. Isn't this sexual assault? If a guy lies about having a condom on, it is. So shouldn't this be as well? Dump her because she is a lying abuser. Tell her to contact you only once she has given birth, at which point you will get a paternity test done and, if it is your child, will hire an attorney to address custody and support, but tell her point blank that you will never be a family with her because she is too toxic to remain in your life in any capacity beyond co-parent. Then go on with your life until you get the call that it's time for the DNA test. Whatever you do, do not be in a relationship with this PSCYHO. That is teaching her that she can get what she wants by being a manipulative liar. She lied about the pill. When you take a 21 days pill, you're still protected in the next days until day 28. Pill isn't 100% safe, but ovulation is usually frozen until 4 weeks after you stop taking it. What caught me off guard is that she wrote a letter. It's 2021, she goes super old school and use the Pony Express? She has a flair for the dramatic. You are dealing with crazy here. Move to South America and lay low until this blows over. Is it selfish of me, 14 female, to heavily dislike my parents, 50F plus 50M? My family is pretty well off and has plenty of disposable income, and I know it sounds terrible, but at this point I really only see my dad as a means to get money. I'm aware of how bad that sounds, but please hear me out before calling me selfish. Okay, so I really don't like my parents for a plethora of reasons, but I'll shorten it down. I hate my dad, he's homophobic, sexist, racist, etc. And you might be thinking sure that's bad, but not that bad. Last week while I was grocery shopping with him, he barked at an old Asian woman's ear. They don't know each other and that poor woman was terrified. He's also the kind to say he's not homophobic but says that, I'm fine with gay people as long as it's know their whole personality. And a few months ago he screamed the F slur at a group of cosplayers in the city. Mind you, they were 17 max. The worst part about that is I'm gay, so I'll never be able to come out to my family because of him. To top it all off, the man is sexist and has anger issues and a superiority complex. He likes to be in control of everyone and demands respect from everyone. He literally barks at my dog to show him who's in charge. He's also incredibly abusive to my little brother. I mean, he's terrible to all my siblings, but he's the worst to my little brother. When my brother was getting bullied at school, he started to make fun of him so he can toughen up, like this grown-ass man was calling his 10-year-old son fat and saying he's wasting his life. He also bought a 12-pack of Coke and left it in the fridge, and when my brother took one he started to say he's not allowed that and saying he doesn't deserve them. His only redeeming quality is that he has money. Don't get me wrong, it's hard for me too. When I was younger I loved him and I genuinely thought he was a good person because he'd always buy me toys and ice cream, but when I think back he was never a good person despite me thinking he was. I mean, when I had to get a mole removed because the doctors thought it was cancerous, my dad complained saying that his scar would look ugly. I was 9 at the time, mind you. A part of me loves him and wishes I could have remained blissfully ignorant to his shortcomings, but I can't. My mum is a lot better and I can truthfully say I love her, but sometimes I feel like her love is conditional. I feel like if I don't do well in school or do what she wants me to, that she'll stop loving me, and she seems so willing to drop me as soon as I do something wrong. This post is mostly about my dad, but is it selfish of me to only see my dad as a means to survive in life, but not as someone I wholeheartedly love and care about? And does anyone have any help on how I can continue to tolerate him until I can move out because I'm painfully exhausted from dealing with him? This isn't selfish. But please take steps to protect yourself. Shitty parents like this can have a tendency to emotionally abuse children that they have different worldviews from. You're young and will probably rely on them for a home and financial support for a few more years. Please put your own mental health and well-being first. No, it isn't selfish. Come over to R, raised by narcissists and R, narcissistic parents. I can't think of a decent human being would think, it's bad but not too bad, when it comes to your father. If your father couldn't respect who you love because of their gender, he couldn't fully respect you and he doesn't deserve it from you or anybody. When it comes to your mom though, it's possible that she's just upset or disappointed in some of the choices you make, but not that she'd drop you. If you're comfortable with her, I suggest you talk to you about how you're feeling and you may be able to let that worry go. Honestly, once you move out, I don't even suggest speaking to your father though. I can't think of a redeeming quality for somebody who feels such way. If you hate your dad at 14, you're gonna feel guilty because it's your dad. Just know that the fact you hate him because of his bullying, racism, and gay hatred, it's the inevitable consequence of you being a good person. You feel empathy for those who suffer because of him, and your dislike of him grows a bit every time because you know that everything he did to make them suffer was avoidable and done on purpose. Brother bullying, Asian barking, etc. So no, it's not selfish. If anything, you should take pride on disliking people like your dad. Best of luck, man. Smiley face. You can't directly confront him about his behavior as his ego will get hurt. The best thing you can do is to immerse yourself in your studies and other activities and also remain in good books of your mom. You can talk to your mom about your dad's behavior and also discuss it with other siblings. Maybe one of your sibling is also feeling the same and discussing will help you all. It is somewhat normal to dislike your parents during puberty. I completely understand. I've been in a similar situation, girl. Parents sound like a narcissist power couple. Your dad sounds like a jerk. Like for real. I wouldn't trust him with my drink. For now, focus on friends, school, art, fashion, Dude, whatever keeps you focused and calm. Poetry is fun to do and so is journaling. It might help you vent all your feelings out onto paper. It isn't selfish at all. You're allowed to feel the way you are. Going to college will be a liberating experience for you. Try to leave the house as soon as possible, it's a very toxic environment. Also, please don't listen and stand clear of people who say things like, "Honor thy mother and thy father. We can't choose the parents we have. You just have to live with them." Or, "Some people don't have any parents, you should be grateful." Listen and adhering to that bullshit will only lead to more trauma. In my opinion. Only contact them when you need help, move away, and look for like-minded friends that you've toiled with, to become your new family, because this ain't it, chief. This is coming from someone that grew up in an abusive household with a single parent. They aren't worth it, but you are. F26. Saw this text on my husband's, M34, phone and I can't seem to get it out of my mind. I have been thinking about this situation that occurred a week ago and can't help but feel conflicted and unable to get my mind off of it. Last Monday my husband got home from work at 4 p.m. He had lunch and napped for an hour or so, leaving his phone charging. He asked me to unplug the charger when his phone battery was full and I said okay. The phone was charging in the living room, on top of the coffee table. Once the battery was full I unplugged the charger and my eye couldn't help but catch a text message that was in front of the screen that said, "And the bed feels so cold right now." I was confused, it looked like half-sentence that was really strange. Out of curiosity opened it and there were no previous messages nor any messages my husband sent to this number which didn't have a name. It didn't make any sense to me. I wanted to get a screenshot of it then put it in my phone to get a better look at it, but my husband showed up all of a sudden from behind. He saw my face and asked if I was okay. I handed him his phone and asked him about the text that he received. He looked at his phone screen for a second and made a face saying someone must have sent it to him by mistake. He seemed pretty normal when he said this, then casually started talking about dinner. We talked a bit, then once I went into the kitchen, he stepped out on the porch with his phone in hand. I watched him and he stayed outside for a couple of minutes talking to someone on the phone. Once he got back inside I asked him who he was talking to and he said he was talking to his friend Joey about their plans for the weekend with the guys. Then he went upstairs to check on his computer. I don't know what I felt but couldn't help but think there was something he wasn't telling me about the person who sent that text. I never spoke to him about it again, but I made the mistake of venting to my friend who guaranteed something was off and advised me to not let this go and to try to dig deeper and ask my husband more questions about it. I brought up the text to him again asking if he was able to find out who that number belonged to days later, and he was shocked that I still remember it and still thinking about it. He got mad at me and insisted he knew nothing about it and told me to forget about it because really it was nothing and it was not okay of me bringing it up like that. I decided to not bring it up again seeing how upset he got. It's been a week and it's still on my mind. I might be overreacting but I can't help but get this awful feeling something is not right. And the bed feels so cold right now. Such a weird fragment to be sent from a random unknown number. Seems like they were having a conversation. He deleted the thread and the person on the other end sent another text after the fact. Maybe it's me, but I would have definitely not let this go. I would have called the number back. If you guys share a cell plan, you can go online and check messages and phone calls. You can't see the messages. But if you recognize the number and it's there more than once, then it wasn't a mistake. Has he done anything else that seems strange? A message like that wouldn't sit right with me either. From an outside perspective it definitely seems sketchy, and if he wasn't hiding anything he wouldn't have gotten mad. My opinion. You can just pull the phone records and texts since you're on the same phone plan. Tell him you know and he gets the option now to be upfront or it'll become a bigger issue. No way to know, but like when people cheat they often delete the messages and don't make a contact. He got mad at me and insisted he knew nothing about it and told me to forget about it because really it was nothing and it was not okay of me bringing it up like that. This is the biggest red flag of all. Someone who had nothing to hide would generally not react that way. They would agree with you that it is bizarre and understand why you would be suspicious, and maybe even invite you to call the number and speak to whoever sent the text. Unless he's a mattress salesman, there's no good that comes from a cold bed text. My girlfriend lied to me and I feel lost. I made a big mistake I should not have done. I looked into my girlfriend's phone and found a conversation she has with one of her client. She is a psychologist. It was a friendly WhatsApp conversation. First of all, as a psychologist you need strong boundaries with the client, but here the boundaries were not clear. It has to be formal and non-friendly, but it was not the case here. There was no clear cheating, but her client would send videos of him working out at the gym, or when she would send a YouTube video to him, he would say, "I see you have done some research just for me, tongue out," to which she would reply, "Yes, custom made." And so on and on and on. To me it looks like she opened a door for him to push the boundaries even further. She somehow encouraged it. The conversation went back and forth with him every other day or so. His approach was subtle, but I know she isn't stupid and knew what was going on. When I discovered the conversation, I decided to keep it for myself and ask for some questions before drawing conclusion. So I asked questions about her work, and after a while this client came up, so I asked questions such as, "Do you sometimes talk with this client by messages?" Which she said, "Yes, but I always keep it very formal. Never back and forth conversation. I wait a long time before answering, and when I do I just send a quick reply and say we will look into that next session." Which was a lie. If she had not lied, I would not have told her I saw the conversation. But here I felt something fishy. Like I said, their conversation would go back and forth and she would not keep it short, and he didn't keep it short too. I then told her I saw the conversation. Drama unfold, and to go straight to the point, her justification for lying was that, "I didn't lie consciously. I was lying to myself when I lied to you because I wanted to believe I was being professional, which I was not, so I was kind of ashamed." And she then turned the table around and said I'm the one creating this story out of thin air, that I'm the one trying to destroy something beautiful. That I'm the one who was distrustful and put it all on her. That I'm the one who lulled into her phone and broke the trust between us. That she didn't lie for the reason I think she did. That nothing fishy was happening between he and her. Etc. Etc. It is true that looking at her phone was awful of me, but I can't help but think that was saw and heard of her is not normal. How can I make sense of it? She knows what she is doing. She knows she lied to you. She is now actively gaslighting you. She's a damn psychologist. If you reported that conversation, she could lose her license, as that is very unprofessional. You need to leave her. Seriously. Given her background and willingness to manipulate you, you are screwed if you stay with her. Sounds like she's in the perfect position, and career, to gaslight the heck out of you. You know what's true, and do not let her make you think otherwise. And it's not okay. The fact that you can now fuck up her entire career must be terrifying for her too. Be the reasonable one and have a sit-down talk where you do not leave the conversation without some form of solution. Though you're absolutely in your right to leave the relationship without such a talk as well. I hope you figure this out. End this relationship. She's capable and qualified to gaslight and manipulate the daylights out of you. Walk away. Now. She's straight up lying. Honestly, just break up with her. You deserve someone better. There are already obvious red flags in that situation, so. Not only is she lying to you, but she did something horrendously unethical in the process. Not the type of woman you can pair bond with long term. Please remember that many people who go into psychology do it to compensate for their own mental disorders. I didn't lie consciously. I was lying to myself when I lied to you because I wanted to believe I was being professional, which I was not, so I was kind of ashamed. Hey, I asked a friend who holds a doctorate in psychology and told me that there's an extremely high change that this is essentially bullshit. She's trying to turn the tables on you, feeling guilty while reinforcing her innocence. Dude, just break up. She doesn't deserve your love. First of all, it's a huge breach of everything for you to have access to her phone where she communicates with clients. Whether her communication is professional or not is secondary right now to why you 1. Have access to her clients and their information, and 2. You both openly discussed her client? Between your access and her unprofessionalism, she sounds like a shitty psychologist and you should leave the relationship.